Hello, Brock.
Right, morning. Welcome all. Today, all the old people can leave because we're talking about getting younger here. So Trevor, sorry, that's you out with your decaying memory and your failing neurons. So there he goes. Okay, so welcome all. So I think, Lee, we're talking about getting younger today, are we? And Trevor Carty,
sorry, my internet.
Oh, okay, so your internet's getting old and decrepit, is it? All right. So it looks like we've got a few challenges online because we seem to have lost Trevor Carty as well in the process. So not too sure what's happening there. Are you back with us, Lee?
It looks like it. Sometimes you sometimes don't have control. You know, you're there and then you're not there.
You're there, not there. Yeah. All right.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah.
It's good to see you all. Nice to have you on board, Brock. Lovely to see your face, and look forward to hearing how you're going to live a long life. So, because that's the theme of today. And so yesterday we looked ahead 1 to 3 to 6 months. Okay, what are we looking forward to? What are we seeing ahead? What are we planning for? And then we started talking about these various ages. And so Trevor Carty is going to have to, or maybe Edward, you can remind me, because I also need to get a reminder as to how these ages work. But the third age I know starts when you're 70. And I know that when I turned 50, it was a wake-up call for me to say, well, how long do you expect to live, Lee? You know, are you young or are you old at the age of 50? And so I realized that easily, given all the information we have and the possibilities that are in our world today, that it's entirely possible for most of us to live to 100. So then if you've lived 50 years and you still got another 50 years ahead, but those 50 years are not the years where you're getting stronger. Those are the years where, your body is starting to feel the effects of gravity and life experience over a long period of time. You need to, I started realizing I need to prepare myself. If I'm going to live to 100, I don't want to be a decrepit 100-year-old. I want to be one of those 100-year-olds who are, paragliding and still running and walking my 10 to 15 Ks. But you can't prepare for that when you're 80. You have to get your bone strength, your muscle strength, your core strength now, so that you are in that position of fitness. So I actually started, I'd always been walking. I started taking my walking even more seriously. I've also started doing Pilates because all the reading I was doing indicated that core strength is really important. And I've definitely appreciated that over the last 2 years. So that's, and that makes me sound like I'm 52 because I started when I was 50. I'm a little bit older than that. So, and so those are the things. And then diet became a lot stricter with myself around sugar intake. I'm afraid caffeine is still my greatest downfall. Definitely drink more coffee than I should. And then I also, if I just end off my little input in terms of setting us off, and that is that I watched a program on longevity, and they were measuring the age, not the chronological age, but the physical age of twin sisters who were in their 50s. And what they were measuring is what is the impact of lifestyle on aging. And the one sister lived in London. She was a high flying corporate type person, very fit, very active. And the other sister owned a horse farm and you're going to love this story, Edward, owned a horse farm in the rural areas in England. And she was slightly chubby, a little bit more overweight. So definitely wasn't the lean, fit person that her sister was. And so the London sister was sure that she was going to win the competition as to being the younger version of the twin. And it turned out that her sister was actually younger than her, only by a few months. But they put it down to the fact that her sister lived a much more relaxed, more, and was happier. She was just happier and had less stress in her life. And that stress, even though you can be physically fit and do all the right things, that stress pays a great toll on our age. So those are my input for today. And I'd love to hear, what do you think about longevity? Are you thinking about it? Are you doing anything about it? Does it impact your life in any way to think about how long you want to live? So yeah, over to you.
Great, thanks, Lee. Yeah, I think we're going to start with Ed this morning because he's drinking one of his two favorite drinks, starting with the C. Please, it's the warm one this morning and not the cold one. So, but you never know. Maybe he's got a cold one on the side. I don't know. But so yeah, Ed, over to you.
Thank you very much, Lee. I thought it lovely if you said, Ed will love this. The chubby one lived longer. I don't know. I think in the UK, the average age of a man is 81, but that's dragged down by the fact that most of the sort of men that are going to die in their 50s. So once you've passed your 50s, you're in good territory. And so I'm planning on living to at least 100. And I think Lee's quite right about the stress, because I learned early on that stress is the thing that kind of brings you down. And it's not just, work stress or domestic stress. It's adding all the stress in your life. And running at times, if you're doing too much of it, is a stressor. So if you're training hard, don't row with your wife and don't do too much at work. Look at all the stress in your life. And I think the interesting thing about the lady with the horses is she's outside a lot. And I think being in the environment, the natural environment is a big de-stressor. Exercise is a big de-stressor. And also, I look at what I do and think, well, I eat well, I'm a vegan, I don't eat much red meat, I don't eat much processed meat, so I should live a long time. I exercise a lot, I should live a long time. And what's the other thing I don't do? I don't smoke, I don't get stressed, but I also realize that man plans and God laughs. So I might not live to be a long time. And the wonderful thing about the third age, and I'm just coming into the third age because I'm 66 now, is that you realize that when you're young, it's worth making sacrifices for later on. Delayed gratification's worth it. When you're old, well, there's no point putting stuff off because it might not happen. So just do stuff. And I think just doing stuff keeps you young. And my other thing is, I love mixing with young people. They keep your mind alive. They keep your spirits up. And I think that's the trick, is to mix with young people and do stuff. My mum, when she got a bit older, embraced old age. She bought everything possible that could help her. And when she came to have her hip replaced, they wouldn't do it because she had no muscles, because she had one of these chairs that lifted you up. So I think, yeah, Lee's right. You've got to keep exercising, got to keep that stuff going. But I think it's realizing also that you're entering the best part of your life because you haven't got the insecurities. You haven't got to build a career or climb that greasy pole. You've got to where you want to be. You've been there, you've bought that t-shirt, got that t-shirt. And if you haven't made it, well, it's too late and it doesn't matter. so you can just enjoy yourself. So I think, yeah, lack of stress, plenty of exercise, get outside, and have the odd castle lager, because you don't want to spend the next 30 years being a boring old fart, do you?
Thanks, Ed. So yeah, I think after that we better get across to the boring old fart in the group. But before we go there, I think yeah, it just says yeah, that one. So yeah, I was just reminded of a story I saw fairly recently about a lady in the States who just qualified as a junior ranger in one of the national parks in the States, and she just qualified as she turned 103. So I thought that was that was pretty good. To be qualifying as a junior ranger at 103 is definitely the way to go. So, right. So Trevor, I think Ed tapped on your button there. You haven't managed to stress him. I'm pleased that he's joined all the youngsters every morning in this group here. So you can see all the young folks sitting around here. But yeah, we better get across to you and find out how you have failed to stress Ed in the last 6 months.
I know the old fart you were talking about was Trevor Carty, but I think he's gone. So I'll step in anyway. Don't worry about it, Darwin. Now, you know what, Ed, you took me back to the first of my 1, 2, 3 yesterday. I actually met with Trevor Carty at 4 p.m. as we agreed for a castle draft, and we had an interesting discussion. And he wanted to interrogate my first point, which was, and it was based on you, Ed, last Thursday, that the world will go on with or without you. So, and Trevor said to me, hey, that's a bit cynical, isn't it? No, not at all. If you're overly precious about who you are and what you're going to do, you know what? If you think that you're going to change the world and do all of these things, just go and do it. Or if you sit back and turn around and say the world is going to die tomorrow, well, it could happen. Things are going to go on with or without you. And if you go back over time, you'll see that there's been an exponential progression of progress. Now, the world might explode tomorrow with an asteroid. So by turning around and recognizing that the reality is that you are blessed to actually live this life right now, then you don't overthink these things. And I think for me, that relates back to the 1, 2, 3, just the topic that we were talking about over the week here. So I also just want to comment on where are you in these ages? For me, I don't think it's about third age. I'm going back now and I'm trying to simplify in my mind. I think I've lived about 7 or 8 ages. And I love the comment that Brock put up there. He's lived 112 years. I agree with Brock. So we're on now. I think we can write a book like Abraham and his brother, 780 odd years. It's just the way that you see these things. I don't see 3 ages. I go back and I see, gee, my first 10 years, then my next 10, then my next 10, then my next 10, then. So I think there's another 3 to 4 sets of 10s. God willing, and that's what I love about that thing. What did you say? Man learns and God laughs. I absolutely love that, because you can be taken off this planet at any time. You don't know why. And the last thing that I want to add here is I love the comment of Tom Hopkins, who, I think it was Tom Hopkins, he was motivating people, and he talked about meeting with a 70-year-old woman in the crowd and trying to get them to just jump up and down and live a long life. And she turned around and said, man, I just want to live until tomorrow, for goodness sake. I'm not planning for the next 30 or 40 years. And he went back and said, you know what you're actually telling me is that you've got 100% of your life left. And if you work on that basis, 100% of your life left. Okay, now how do you want to apply that 100% of your life left? And I thought that was fantastic input. I picked that up about 40, 50 years ago, and that's what we're doing. That's my short 1, 2, 3. What was on topic here?
Are you ever, Trevor? Are you ever? Yeah, I thought you were going to tell the story about what happened to you about 12 or so years ago when you just didn't have patience for anybody, and then you got a baby granddaughter to raise and look after, so you suddenly had to find some patience.
God loves, yeah. So you plan all these blooming things, and guess what? Whoop, like Mr. Bean, that little package dropped out of the sky, and it became a full-time grandpa. And that was me. So what can you do? Now it's an 11-year-old, and I'm trying to throw her back, but it's not working. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a whole nother story that we'll get into. So I think we have to get across to one of the youngsters in the group. So Cecile, let's get across to you.
Hi. Yes, I think, according to a lot of people, I live a type of lifestyle that that one stays young. I eat well. I sleep. I eat healthy. I don't overeat. I sleep well. I exercise daily. I don't smoke. I've never smoked. Sorry, Ed, I don't drink. Not because I have anything against alcohol, but I don't like the taste of alcohol. So I don't drink. And I hang out with young people. I think hanging out with young people, I don't necessarily want to do what they do, listen to what they listen to, but one stays informed of what goes on with young people if you hang out with young people in the squash world, in the karate, in the with my children, family, a lot. And then I wanted to say something, but we all believe that exercise will make us a healthy old person. And I think genes also contribute a big way in how old you get. My mom is the youngest of 8 children, and her oldest brother is 99 and a half. His birthday was in the beginning of May. And he, and from there, that goes down 2 years. My other sister's 97, down. And of the 8, 5 of them are alive. My mom is 84, and she's the youngest of the lot. But none of them flip an exercise. My mom's brother, the one that's 99, he's been living in Jeffreys Bay in the retirement village there with her for the last 10 years after his wife died. And before that, he's never exercised in his life. So every day she nags him, Dennis, you must walk, you must exercise. One day you're going to sit in a wheelchair, then you won't be able to walk, your legs won't be able to walk. So he hates doing walking, but he's been walking not as much as she does. She walks nearly 5 kilometers every day. And he's been without tablets, without a hearing aid, without glasses, without all that stuff all these years. But about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks, 8 weeks ago, all of a sudden he just took a turn for the worst. So now, one morning, now he can't walk anymore. Now he can't do whatever. So after this, I also always wanted to live to 100, but now I realize maybe 99 is a good aim. That last bit is a stretch too far. Because my mom's sister, who's 97, fell the other day in the bathroom. She bakes every day still and knits and whatever. She fell in the bathroom and broke her wrist. So now she had to have an operation, but she's still going strong. But maybe 99 is the aim that we have to aim for, not 100. But yeah, I try to live a healthy life, and let's see if we can get there. Yeah, and I like to do brain things to keep the brain alive. That's it.
Great, thanks, Cecile. I'm just wondering how many black belts or how many Dan's levels you're going to have hit by the time you get to 99. I mean, how many are there that you can hit? So just for you, Brock, Cecile's about to do her second Dan black belt, Carter, and at the tender age of well, we won't say, but it's certainly a little bit older than Lee. Yeah. So Brock, let's get across to you. First time with us. Fantastic to have you on board this morning. Yeah,
Or-
I'm not sure if you know what you've walked into here, but
No. I've walked into exactly what I want to walk to, a room full of beautiful people doing wonderful things and thinking the right way. The only thing I can add, first of all, Celia, I must connect you with some people in that world. I know many world champions in different disciplines, and yeah, you guys are amazing. I personally, as a child, did Taekwondo for, well, I think about 4 weeks, and I gave up, and that was it. But both my children have done their black belt. They haven't gone into dance or anything, but they're only 18 and 15, so you know who knows what they might do. Anyway, I think on this subject, real quick, is I think it kind of goes back to what everybody's saying, but at the same time, you know, if you're living a day that counts and is blessed, and you're doing the things that make you a better person, the people around you a better life, and you're getting the most out of life for that day, and I think it does go back to the day big time, then why would you not want to live another day? However, if we turn that on its head, if you're in a bad place and not living a good life, why would you want to live longer? Sorry to put it that way, but you know, I know it's cliche, it's quality of life, not numbers of years. But I did put in the chat, Ed Chapman. I don't know how many of you had a one-to-one with this man, but my God, you must do it. He is amazing, all the things he's done. There's a lot of people in here done a lot of amazing things, but Ed is constantly looking to live an extra bit of life every single time I talk to him. He's volunteering for a new thing. He's doing a new thing. Ed, if he wanted to, could have sat back and retired, what, Ed, 10 years ago? Something like that. But I have to agree with Celia. The drink thing, Ed can keep that to himself. Unfortunately, my situation, I wouldn't have one. I would have 51. So no, that's a no to me as well. Thank you. Blessed to be here. And obviously, you know, I'm going to say, Ivan, I know you've done it anyway, but yeah, love to have all that can make it on the Latin American launch today as well. So, and looking to seeing you guys later today as well.
great, thanks, Brock. Yeah, looking forward to that. Never been to South America, so always good to go to new places, even if it's virtually. So great. So we seem to be losing people in and out. Maybe we've got internet issues around this morning. But Donovan, let's get across to you next and see if we can get you online.
Thanks, Ivan. Morning, everyone. Yeah, I don't have much to contribute except to say that you need to keep busy, both physically and mentally. So I'm doing a bit of exercise, light exercise. You know, after I had a procedure, you know, I'm forced to regain my weight, especially my muscle weight. So I'm doing a bit of exercise in that direction. And mentally, I'm trying to read. I'm not disciplined enough. I think I must work on that. I used to read 2 books every week long time ago. So I'm really longing for those years. And then also in terms of supplements, you know, it's important to supplement what you eat because we don't get good quality food anymore. So we have to make a plan and fill in the gaps with that. And I think it's helping. I'm sure many of us can attest to that. You know, you need to supplement your normal food, you know, to deal with other issues and things that your normal food can't help you with. Yeah, so that's it for me. So it's keeping active and making sure your body gets the right nutrition. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Donovan. And I think on that note, we better get across to the supplements man. So I'm sure he knows who that is. So yeah, I'm not even going to say his name. So Jasper, let's get over to you.
Hi, good day. Yeah, I think it's important to ask the right question. So when it's purely about age, I don't have much to contribute because I don't know how to handle that topic. But if it's how much do I want to get out of life, I think it's a question that I can then respond to. And then if people say, how long do you want to live? Well, I want to live until my work is done. So I have a sense of the work that lies ahead of me. And I think that's one way of you know, making sure that you are busy to the maximum until your work is done. And then how long will I live? I will live eternally. because all that will happen is at a certain stage, I will just switch bodies. So I'm not too fussed about this whole thing of old age. And yes, I think this body or this vehicle that's been given to me, there's not too many spare parts because each model is unique. So you have to patch it up and you have to keep doing what you can. And you know, I think technology is great. I'm the recipient of that technology about in 1995. When I was a youngster, my eyesight was bad because of the shape of my eye that was like a ball, that kind of thing. I think they call it astigmatism. And at the age of, well, when I was in grade 6, I started to wear glasses. And by the time I got to matric, I was already wearing thick glasses. And then this, what do you call it, laser chorotomy technology developed. And I was shit scared, but the day afterwards, it was the most amazing experience. I could see number plates, you know, see detail. And it's now many years later, and my eyesight is now better. So I'm certainly happy that there is technology. So I'm comfortable that I need something, it'll be there, and you know, just live flat out until it's time to go.
Great, thanks, Asper. Yeah, well, I was hoping to get across to Trevor Carty, who's the one who sparked this whole thing off, but he seems to have been bouncing in and out this morning, so I'm not too sure what's happened to him. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. I mean, you know, Cecile was talking about her the elderly people in her family. My grandfather lived to 96 as well, and I'm sorry to say to all you non-drinkers, he firmly believed that his 2 whiskeys every evening were part of the reason that he hit 96. Amongst that, he definitely kept fit and well. He used to walk everywhere. I remember when he retired, my dad went down to help him get rid of some of his goods and chattels because he was emigrating at the same time. And he had a 23-year-old car, which was in pristine condition, had less than 50,000 kilometers on the clock, because he'd walked everywhere. He used to start it on the weekends to keep the battery charged, and that was about it. The rest of the time he walked. And so, you know, only when he really took a long trip did he actually get into the car and drive. So I thought, you know, less than 50,000 Ks after 23 years is a pretty good indication of what he did. And right into his 90s, he walked and he actually rode a bicycle. He lived in London for the last 20 years of his life. And on the weekends, he would take out his bicycle and ride around London. So, yeah, and then come home in the evenings and have his whiskey. So, yeah. And he only stopped smoking, I think, when he was well into his 70s. And the only reason he stopped smoking is he didn't have enough teeth left to hold his pipe any longer. So he reckoned, well, if that's the case, he might as well give up the smoking. So yeah, you know, who knows what it is that keeps us going, you know, whether it's diet or exercise or not drinking or not smoking or smoking and drinking, I'm not too sure. So I think a lot depends on what it all comes down to is what's up here, you know, the mental attitude you have to these things and the way you approach life. And I think we've spoken about that, you know, many times. It's simply the way you approach today. I think we've spoken about it today. You know, you have today, you only have today. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow. So make the most of it and enjoy it while you're doing it. And that's probably the key. So yeah, I think that's my thoughts for the morning. So Lee, back to you to wrap us up and tell us what's on the cards for Monday.
Well, it's interesting because I mentioned that my dad had been ill he'd had a number of major health issues in the last 10 years of his life. And then for the last 18 months before he died, he had throat cancer. And, you know, any illness like that, you know, things get taken away from you step after step after step. And there were definitely times in that process, and the story does get better, even though he died. As much as he lost, it stopped being about what he could do it stopped being about his purpose and the busyness and the activity, because those things stopped being the things that kept him going. And because he was struggling so much and was often in really just great discomfort, I often thought, and I even asked the hospice nurse, why doesn't he just go? You know, there's nothing, he's suffering. Why doesn't he just go? And she said, and this is a lady that's obviously worked with dying people for years and years. And she said, people decide, they decide how long they want to stay. And that really stuck with me, because I know the day my dad decided to die. And it was a decision. And it had, although his body was also obviously giving up, there was a moment when he said, no, this is now enough. But up until that moment, life itself was the gift. Just being able to live another day. There was something that he found magical, enjoyable, and they were the simple things. And I've said it before, they were the simple things like sitting in the sun, like watching his veggies grow, seeing the birds, you know, he fed the birds, holding my mom's hand. Those were the things that actually gave his life meaning and made life worth living. So that, and now I also think of my 93-year-old father-in-law, who at 85 got remarried. So life goes on. There's many things that you can do as you get older. So the thing that I would like us to think about on Monday is, and I don't know why I went here, but I was thinking about partnerships, because what is it about? So I was thinking about being married. So what is it about being married that helps you to stay live a long time? Yes, Edward's throwing his hands up, and I don't know who else is not married or married. So does it help to be married or not? And if, yeah, so that's the discussion we want to have, Brock. That is exactly the discussion we want to have. Is okay. And if it's not married, what about partnerships? What does it mean? What is it about a partner? And I don't just mean a life partner, but a partnership. Now, it might be with somebody close to you. It might be a family member. What is it about a deep connection that is also life-giving? And how do those partnerships work? How do we make them work? So that's what I'd like us to talk about. I have no idea what's been flying in the chat box, but I'm really, so let's talk about partnership on Monday. And that's right up your alley, Brock. I'm reading Brock and your partnerships. What a better topic than that.
There you go. So yeah, so live for today, but enjoy the weekend. Hopefully it'll come tomorrow, Donovan. I don't know, but normally it does, but we'll have to wait and see whether you're right or not. But have a great one anyway, folks. And yeah, hope to see you on some of the other sessions later today. And if not, have a good one, and we'll see you Monday morning. Go well.